walk up, pick one of these out.
Yeah,
This way, the background will be
Hi, Mom. Of course. Bloodsport yet? No. You look like one of the guys who loves your movie and know what you're talking about. Oh, this is she would be here.
Look like everyone else. He's already in.
Yeah, I saw that. Then when I came back to the room, I saw addendum,
I'd like to say to the Gilbert family that they have a son that's graduating from medical school. They should be very proud of, and I am glad to be his friend for the last 40 years, and hopefully we carry this on for the next 20 years. Okay, how's that? Even 40 years. Okay?
I therefore declare officially the 142nd annual commencement of the School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences open.
Will everybody please stand? We'll open the program with the national anthem, followed by the invocation to be delivered by the Most Reverend Edward D. Head, Bishop of the Diocese of Buffalo.
Let us place ourselves in the presence of our loving God, who has gifted us with healing hands and loving hearts, so that we might bring peace and joy and healing into the minds and hearts of others. Heavenly Father, we praise you for your glory and thank you for your goodness to us. Look on these graduates with your love and be with them to guide and direct them as they leave this medical school to move forward into their lives. May your Spirit give them many talents and gifts and help them to use them for your glory, for the healing of minds and bodies, for the safeguarding of human life and the enhancement of human dignity, and for the glory of all people. We praise and thank you, Father, today, as we do always, for you are the source and author of all life, and you live forever and ever. Amen.
I am pleased on behalf of the administration, the faculty, and the student body to welcome all the parents, friends, relatives of the graduates tonight. And of course, on behalf of all these people, offer my congratulations for this great achievement in your lives. This is indeed an important day in the history of this school. This is the 142nd graduation for the School of Medicine at Buffalo, but it's also the 25th since we joined the state university system. During those 25 years, we've become a major medical school, which has continued the fine clinical tradition that we inherited from the University of Buffalo, and have now added a fine biomedical enterprise to that institution. We're pleased that this year the President of the University approved the suggestion that we expand our name to reflect our major missions in the training of physicians and the nation's future sciences to the School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. So tonight is a great night. I welcome all those parents who have been to other family weekends. I know that many of you have been to all four, and many others of you have been to one or more. I hope that as you leave this evening, Buffalo remains with you, and that you'll continue to support us in every way you can, and to remember that this was a fond place in which to train your sons and daughters. Now, I'm pleased on behalf of the school to introduce the President of the University, Stephen B. Sample.
Thank you, Dean Norton. Members of the Platform Party, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, candidates for degrees, parents, families, and friends. It is a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to help celebrate the 1988 commencement of our School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. On behalf of the entire university community, I extend my warmest congratulations to those of you who are graduating this evening. And I also want to congratulate your parents, spouses, teachers, and families who share in the pride of your accomplishments. During the course of this festive commencement weekend, which includes general commencement and 12 professional school commencements, the university will confer approximately 5,000 degrees. And as part of our tradition, we will also bestow special awards, honors, and praise in recognition of outstanding academic achievements or exemplary university service. At no other time during the year do we have such an opportunity to applaud the tremendous determination and perseverance which you, the graduates, have exerted in reaching this important milestone in your educational and professional preparation. But it is also an excellent time for you to express appreciation to the many individuals whose leadership, loyalty, and support have played such a significant role in helping you to reach your goals. To be sure, it has been a team effort on the part of many individuals who share the responsibility and the credit for your education. From elected government officials to administrators and staff, to your professors who have dedicated their lives to making your educational experience both enjoyable and rewarding. But the individuals who are unquestionably the most important members of this team and who are deservedly the proudest of all on this wonderful day are your parents, who throughout your lives and your lifelong educational process have provided direction, support, and most of all, unstinting love. A few weeks ago, I received an inspiring letter from a member of the class of 1988 who is receiving her master's degree this year. This student was reflecting on the many people with whom she shares the honor of her having earned a graduate degree. Most especially it was her parents, and most especially of all, her father, whom she wished to credit. I should like to read a brief passage from this letter, because I think it contains an important message for all of us. She says, "It is not an easy task to put a child through college, but it is one for which my parents will make any sacrifice. My parents have seen 7 children graduate from college. In addition, there are now 6 master's degrees and 1 doctoral degree in our family. When my brothers and sisters and I were in school, my mother returned to college and received a baccalaureate and master's degree in elementary education. My father, however, never went to college. After high school, he went directly to work and then spent 5 years overseas serving during World War II. Although he never received a collegiate degree, I consider my father to be one of the wisest people I have ever known. His admiration of and sacrifices for higher education have been the driving force behind all of our achievements. He once told me that if he could come back to Earth a second time, he would ask to be placed in a room with all the great minds so that he could just listen and observe. But Dr. Sample, in my eyes, he is already one of those great minds." Now, this letter contains an interesting idea, and since ideas are the stock and trade of universities, we should attend to it. The last line of her letter says, "He is already one of those great minds." At first, I was confused by this line. In what sense does this student mean that her father, who never went to college, who never did formal research, who is not a published scholar, is one of the great minds of our time? And then, as so often happens to those of us in the professoriate, my own eyes were opened by the insight of one of our students. For what this student means, I think, is simply this: that of all her family, it was her father who best understood the true value of a college education, even though he was the only member of the family who never went to college. And in that sense, her father personifies a uniquely American intellectual tradition. The men who founded the University of Buffalo were not college graduates. And much, if not most, of the leadership that has led to this country's enormous investment in higher education, an investment that exceeds that of any other nation in the world, has come from people who themselves never attended college. Even today, many of the parents of our students and many of the taxpayers who support this superb university have not had the benefit of a university education. So as we celebrate today all of your accomplishments as graduates, let us also give thanks for those great minds who have perceived the value of higher education without having experienced it themselves, and of whose foresight and dedication all of us here this evening are the grateful beneficiaries. Thank you.
Class speaker this year, chosen by the students, will be soon Dr.to-be Mr. Stephen Hughes.
I was asked by the class officers to encourage the class to contribute towards the gift, which I understand will be a pair of spruce trees. Personally, I'd like to see them placed in the foyer/lounge area of the new addition. I kind of think it'd be fun to see the administration watering them and fertilizing them. Something like, sorry, didn't get around to your dean's letter yet, I've been spreading horse manure around the trees. Seriously, we will be asked to give now for this gift and in the future. And in a decade or two, maybe we'll be able to. For 4 years, we've complained about our lack of power as medical students. Each of us has things in the curriculum or about our education we would like to see improved. I am suggesting that when you give, and I do encourage you to give, you make your suggestions known and judge your future donations by the response to your suggestions. Let's see some improvements. Social and preventative medicine, anyone? Behind me is a banner that during orientation in our first year hung in the front of G26. G26 is a lecture hall that we came to know, and, well, we came to know it anyway. These days, orientation is held in Butler Auditorium. Now, that is a room. It's a beautiful place. It's actually named for someone. G26 is named for a square on a bingo card. One day we were having a lecture in G26 and workmen started to brick up the windows. I thought the administration had decided they'd made a mistake with our class and were going to entomb us along with Dr. Goshen. That's a fate worse than death for all of us. At any rate, this banner. Notice there's a symbol on the banner, the one that looks like 3 walls intersecting. I remember thinking, that looks like the pie in the Trivial Pursuit game. It wasn't until I took my first medical school exam that I realized just how accurate that observation had been. Questions like, now what is the 5th least common cause of ingrown toenails among Norwegian women between the ages of 20 and 35? Several people I see already have the answer. I also remember looking around G26 and wondering which of these strangers will become my friends. I am proud and happy to say that most of them have become my friends. We have a good class. Nerds, yes, but bright, caring, tough, delightfully crazy nerds. I'm proud to be a member of the class of 1988. On behalf of my classmates, I would like to thank you for coming here tonight. It's a dumb time for graduation, Sunday night. I'd like to thank you our families and friends for putting up with us for the long years it has taken us to get to this point. There are a few more years to go, so don't relax yet. And a thank you to the faculty and administration who have helped us over the past 4 years. Some of us have lost parents and others close to us, but my faith permits me to believe that they are here and share in our happiness. There are people in the audience who mean more to me than words alone can express, but I must say these words: I love you, I truly do. I must say a special word of thanks to the mother of one of my classmates, the mother of Sharon Jackson. Henny, Sharon thanks you for everything. I make this announcement because of something Sharon promised me. She promised me she'd break both my legs if I didn't. See, Sharon, I told you to trust me. I'd like to close with a story, one that illustrates one of the reasons I'm going into pediatrics. His name was David, and shortly before his 12th birthday, he was riding a bicycle, and a drunk driver bounced him all over the road. When I came on service as a brand new third-year clinical clerk in surgery, he was assigned to me. He was still in intensive care and had been there some weeks. The various lacerations and fractures were healing well, but David was still elsewhere. Had he been an adult, he almost certainly would already have died. At the end of my first week, he was stable enough to be transferred to a regular floor. And if you were lucky, you could perhaps get him to smile if you tickled his toes. But that was about as responsive as he got. He progressed gradually, getting some limb control back, and eventually giving us simple messages on a spelling board, and step by step climbing that 12-year stairway the drunk had knocked him down. David was having trouble swallowing food, partly because he couldn't control his tongue muscles too well. He was, of course, getting all sorts of therapy. His mom told me his favorite food was pizza, and to encourage him to exercise his tongue, I'd wake him for morning rounds. This was surgery, remember, so that was about 5:30 in the morning. And also, whenever I'd see him during the day, with the words mozzarella, pepperoni, or just pizza, he'd smile and stick out his tongue and wiggle it back and forth for me. When I left the service, he still couldn't talk, although he could laugh. And I left him an IOU on the bulletin board in his room for a large cheese and pepperoni pizza when he could phone me and ask for it. At 8 p.m. the following Friday, I got a phone call. Dr. Steve, this is David. Can I have my pizza now? When I got there, his parents, relatives, and the floor nurses were all there in his room. I guess the pizza parlor must have a pretty good reputation. When you're a third-year medical student, you're not allowed to do much harm to patients, and you don't know enough to do them a lot of good. However, you do sometimes have a bit more time to spend with them than the residents or attendings do. And once in a while, you can make a tiny positive difference. David is back home now. He's back in his regular grade at school. I'm sure each member of my class has a similar story. Well, maybe except for the people going into otolaryngology and ophthalmology. I thank you all for coming here tonight and sharing in our joy. As far as the members of the class of 1988 are concerned, I expect your names to shine. I will miss you. Thank you.
We are privileged this evening to have with us a person whose career is dedicated to understanding the development of the human species. In less than 1 decade, she has already authored nearly 24 publications in the area of molecular genetics, a field undoubtedly akin to our own endeavors. Dr. Can received her bachelor's degree in genetics from the University of California at Berkeley in 1972 and her PhD in anthropology from the same university in 1982. She is currently assistant professor in genetics at the University of Hawaii, previous to which she has participated in research at the University of California at San Francisco, the University of California at Berkeley, and the State University of New York at Stony Brook. Dr. Can has been the recipient of several fellowships and awards and has accumulated a history of community and professional service. Will you please now welcome Dr. Rebecca Can.
I would like to thank Deans Naughton and Ostro and Dr. Richard Jones for their kindness in inviting me and arranging for me to be here today to talk. A warm aloha to you all in the sense of the Hawaiian language not corrupted by travel agents selling a little piece of paradise. It is also an indulgence on the part of this class of 1988 and their families from the School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, the act of listening to yet another stranger talking about the role of science in molding the life you students have chosen, when you are eager to get on with the rest of your celebration that you so deserve. My message is short and is offered as a two-part statement. First, you are biological scientists and health scientists at a time in the history of human life on this planet when these professions are both intellectually stimulating and emotionally fulfilling occupations. The new tools of molecular biology allow an extraordinary cross-fertilization of disciplines, and these have led to a recent renaissance of biology at all levels. Because you are at the edge of this enormous revolution, one that has a handful of 3-year-olds across the country able to say mitochondrial DNA, along with spacemen and cowboys and pre-emergent herbicides, you will have a privileged and a clear task as the vanguards of science for your generation of Americans. Do your best to attempt to demystify it. The second part of this message is struggle to keep up with this revolution. You will have many conflicting obligations on your time, but we humans have some hard choices that will have to be made. People's careers may be predetermined by a few biological tests before they have completed grade school. In American society, there will be attempts to legislate such tests, and considerable outrage may be expressed about their use. But we cannot guess what other societies will do with this knowledge, as we could not accurately predict that amniocentesis would be used to abort primarily female fetuses at high frequencies in certain countries. As physicians, you will order a number of tests. As biochemists, microbiologists, and pharmacologists, you will help to develop these tests. Our brave new world will need people with their eyes wide open. Read, travel widely, and talk not just to your colleagues and friends, but to community organizations, school boards, politicians, and lawyers about your informed opinion. I would now like to digress a bit and enlarge on these 2 points. In 1987, my colleagues and I published a paper in the journal Nature, which summarized our studies on a set of genes in the cytoplasm of the cell. Those genes contained in the mitochondria have been examined now in over 3,000 individuals from every continent. Mitochondrial genes differ from classically defined genetic systems in that they are exclusively maternal in their mode of inheritance. They code for a small number of proteins that function in the production of energy in the cell. Lewis Thomas, in writing about the pivotal role of mitochondria, has stated that you couldn't lift a finger or think a thought without those genes. With Alan Wilson and Mark Stoneking, I spent some time documenting the extent of DNA sequence variation in the world's population for mitochondrial genes. Our paper concluded that modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, could trace the evolution of these genes to a single female who lived in Africa probably around 200,000 years ago. Since that time, I have been asked to explain, to defend, and to speculate about the meaning of those conclusions to a variety of interested readers, from high school science teachers to paleontologists and radio evangelists. As a species able to contemplate and question our reason for being here, the impact that molecular biology has made on the study of human evolution is not surprising. What was surprising, to me, perhaps naively, was the vehemence and anti-science backlash that resulted from suggesting that biology could provide some basic insights into who we were physically and where we might be going. The Office of Technology Assessment has recently published a report for the National Science Foundation comparing the level of science education in America and Japan. They stated that somewhere between 43 and 45% of high school educated Americans do not believe in human biological evolution, and estimate that even about 25% of college educated Americans hold similar views. The figures in Japan, in contrast, suggest that about 12% of equivalently educated people there had those reservations. I suggest that we are not doing everything we should or could be doing to make the physical evidence of our own evolutionary history better well known as biological certainty to the general public. Our specializations lead us to develop different scientific subcultures with jargon-laden vocabulary that provide an efficient mode of communication between peers, but they also provide an effective barrier, quite impenetrable at times, even to our loving families. I spent personally so much time trying to get over the salient points about neutral mutations without ever realizing that most people get their understanding of what mutations are by reading the National Enquirer. Those of you who will provide health care play an important role in this struggle for scientific literacy in the American public. Your daily activities will affirm the importance of science and technology on human society today. The special training that some of you have as guardians of health and well-being makes it so important that in your positions of this trust, you remain conscious of your power to enlighten and enrich everyday events. Since becoming a university professor, I have only recently appreciated that many junior and senior college biology students form very early their attitudes about science. These attitudes largely stem from their exposure to TV and their family physicians. How might you help? Our bodies carry the physical evidence of biological evolution, from complex metabolic pathways to the detailed anatomical descriptions about how knee and hip joints work. Whenever possible, use your special ability and your everyday working knowledge of the human body to help foster a better understanding of the biological closeness that we humans share as members of a very young species. Our religious, our language, our occupations, even our racquetball scores They all drive us into special interest groups. What the DNA revolution has done for the study of human history has been to cut through those different badges of distinction and emphasize the close biological heritage we all very recently shared. Many of you in training as physicians will do further work in pediatrics, internal medicine, and psychiatry. These specialties in particular utilize information about the genetic background of your patients to arrive at correct diagnoses or efficient treatment protocols. You will have intimate contact with the genomes of your patients, largely looking for the differences within a population that may contribute to the development of situations detrimental to the well-being of those patients. It will be easy to lose track of the extraordinary similarity that we all share. 997 out of every 1,000 DNA base pairs is the estimate in the search for clues about the origins of disease. In our long trek out of Africa, many bits of evidence for this common biological heritage have become obscured. We celebrate our differences, pride ourselves in our individuality, and yet use the same blood banks in life-threatening situations. When the first anatomically modern human population did arise, probably in Africa around 100,000 years ago, it already contained a diverse set of maternal genetic lineages stemming from this common female ancestor. Some human adaptations to diet or physiological stress may trace from this point, since it signals the start of our cultural and perhaps intellectual diversification as a population on a worldwide scale. However, most of our biological diversity is not adequately partitioned by a simple ethnic or racial classification. Geneticists now understand that there is more DNA variability within the three major races of humans than between any two races. In searching for those susceptibility factors that lead to the development of a disease state, we need to remain conscious of that shared diversity. And we must also be careful not to define normal human genomes from a population of white urban Americans, the biological descendants of a small segment of the world's population that spread from a restricted geographic origin a mere 400 years ago. The life of a scientist is challenging, it's tedious, it's rewarding, it's exhilarating, and it's often a little bit weird. I congratulate you on your achievement and welcome you into it. Thank you.
Each year, the student body publishes a yearbook called the Iris. This yearbook is put together, published, organized by the student body themselves. And each year, the student body determines who they'll dedicate the edition to. Ms. Lisa Benson, Mr. David Brock were this year's co-editors, and they will now announce the dedication of the Iris and then the response by the dedicatees.
The dedication for the 1988 Iris. For instilling the values of caring and self-sacrifice and nurturing our love of learning, for providing emotional and financial support and encouraging us when we needed it most, for giving of yourselves so that we could give to others, and for just being there, the 1988 Iris is dedicated to our parents.
We'd now like to pause for just one moment and remember all those parents who are no longer with us. And while we remember them, we'd like to ask all the parents in the room to rise. Stand up.
Come on.
Come on. You have to do this. We'd like you to rise and let your children thank you. To accept this award, on behalf of all the parents that are here today, are Dr. and Mrs. David Green. They're the parents of one of our classmates, and they have agreed to accept the book on your behalf.
On occasions like this, my wife generally tells me what to say. Tonight, it's her turn.
We are more honored than we will show to be in this position today. After we were invited to receive your class yearbook dedicated to the parents, I started to empathize with parents known and parents unknown, imagining, knowing of the disappointments, the doubts, the sacrifices, not to mention the debts which had been incurred over a long period of time, particularly over the past 4 years. But this weekend, somehow, those years are condensed, and we are forgetting this burden, perhaps, because we celebrate with joy and pride the achievements of our offspring. We congratulate them and the faculty of the medical school and the other mentors who have brought them to this gateway point we have given us.
Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please rise? There they are.
Dr. Valesky's major professor was Dr. Vijay Kumar. In hypersensitive rats, a study using ultracytochemistry and atomic absorption. Dr. Young's major professor was Dr. Peter Nickerson.
1988, please stand. President Sample, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have met all the requirements of the university and are recommended to you for the conferring of the precious degree, Doctor of Medicine.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of the State University of New York, I hereby confer upon each of you the degree Doctor of Medicine. In testimony thereof, I shall present to you diplomas bearing the seal of the university. In awarding this highest professional degree in medicine to you today, the university recognizes your significant achievements and publicly attests its confidence in your ability to make still further contributions to the profession of medicine. Congratulations.
Moses ben Maimonides, was the foremost physician of the 12th century. His fame was so great that during the Crusades, his services were sought by the leaders of both sides. So you can imagine how his parents must have felt. He was also a philosopher and a theologian, and the charge that he leaves us as physicians blends his thinking about both medicine and religion. May He, the Almighty Father of mercy, be with you in all your efforts to heal the sick. May you be filled with love for your art and for your fellow man. May the thirst for gain and desire for fame be far from your heart, for these are the enemies of pity and the ministers of hate. May your strength be preserved, that you may be able to restore the strength of the rich and the poor, the good and the bad, the friend and the foe. May you see in the sufferer the man alone. When wiser men teach you, may you be humble to learn, for the mind of man is so limited, and the art of healing is so vast. May there never arise in you the notion that you know enough, but may you always have strength, leisure, and zeal to enlarge your knowledge. Your work is great, and the mind of man presses forward forever. You have been chosen to watch over the life and death of the creatures of the Most High, and from the Most High will come the guidance and strength that shall make this immense work of avail. So spoke Maimonides.
I should repeat after me each sentence. I solemnly pledge myself to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. Please repeat. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude which is their due. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. The health of my patient will be my first consideration. I will respect the secrets which are confided in me. I will maintain by all the means in my power the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession. My colleagues will be my brothers. I will not permit considerations of religion, nationality, race, party politics, or social standing to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life from the time of conception. Even under threat, I will not use my medical knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Congratulations, doctors. Now the class can be seated, and we'll begin with the hooding of the new physicians.
Across here and come down here. Let's see, where should we? You guys stand here. We're going to put them on the stage. Right here. Right there.
Dr. Stephen Achilles, cum laude. Dr. Selwyn Alexander Adams. Dr. Ellen Adler Weinberg, magna cum laude. Dr. John Aker. Dr. Michelle Anderson. Dr. John J. Barbaccia, cum laude.
Hold up. Okay.
Dr. Anthony O. Bartholomew. Dr. Belayan S. Befekadu.
Take the card.
Dr. Susan Loretta Bean. Dr. Thomas Belomo. Dr. Lisa Benson. Dr. David Burkham. Dr. Narinda Bahala. Dr. David Binion. Dr. Michael William Blab. Dr. David Brock, cum laude.
Magna.
Dr. Peter Martin Berger, magna cum laude.
Margie Campbell.
Dr. Margie D. Campbell.
Cum laude and cum laude.
Dr. Andrew Cappuccino, cum laude.
Stay right there.
Dr. Helen Michelle Hess Cappuccino, cum laude.
Stand up so they can see your names.
Dr. Paul J. Caro. Dr. Ken Wah Chow.
Cum laude.
Dr. Stephanie A. Christensen, cum laude. Dr. John Christie. Dr. Carol Cohen, magna cum laude.
Congratulations.
Dr. Edward M. Callopy.
Congratulations. Here's one of those accelerated.
Dr. David M. Crossland.
There she is. She made it magna. Wow. I can see.
Dr. Mary Cecilia Davitt, magna cum laude. Dr. Giuseppe Della Russo.
Congratulations.
Dr. Peter Della Bella. Dr. Lizette Ann Dion.
Gotcha. You taking?
Dr. Kim Melissa Dobson.
Congratulations.
Dr. Sherry Laverne Durden. Congratulations. Dr. John L. Doucet.
Magna.
Everett. Dr. Charles Everett, magna cum laude.
Congratulations.
Dr. Mark W. Fenzel.
Magna and magna.
Dr. Janet C. Fleer Sundquist, magna cum laude. Dr. Sandra Lee Frederickson, summa cum laude. Dr. Ronald T. Genova, cum laude. Dr. Richard N. Gilbert, Jr. Dr. Constance C. Green.
She just turned on.
Dr. Lisa Gattuso.
That's too fast.
Dr. Reuben Joseph Guzman. Dr. Judith Ann Hayes. Dr. James E. Hohensee. Dr. Peter J. Homer, magna cum laude. Dr. Dawn Patricia Rabb. Dr. Stephen J. Hughes, cum laude. Dr. Veronique Marie James. Dr. David M. Janicki, cum laude. Dr. Brett Andrew Johnson. Dr. Eric Robert Johnson. Dr. Richard Mark Junkie. Dr. Gary C. Kao. Dr. David Michael Katz. Dr. Janet Rosalie Kent, magna cum laude. Dr. Mark R. Clockey, Ree Levine, summa cum laude. Dr. Nora Sidney Linkoff.
Want to go back and do your donor?
Dr. Nancy Jane Lish. Dr. Lori Gattuso Luzzi.
Who's this guy?
I'll do him. Dr. Frank A. Luzzi, Jr. Dr. Robert Joseph Magro, cum laude. Vera. Dr. Lourdes Maldonado Vera. Dr. Kimberly Reed Markowski. Dr. Pierre Thomas Martin. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Dr. Timothy McDaniel. Hi, muscles. Dr. Robert Francis Manella. Miga. Dr. Daniel Edward Miga. Hi, congratulations. Dr. Marianne Elizabeth Miller. Dr. Paul V. Mioto. Maury, that's a funny name. Dr. Robert Ann Morey. Margaret Ann Morey, excuse me. Dr. Michael Nimroff. Dr. Sarah Lynn Notaro. Dr. David Michael Nowak.
Oh, you look good. You look good.
Dr. Kathleen Ann O'Leary. Dr. Martha Pavlakis, magna cum laude.
Hi, Chappie.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Kathy Perkins.
Hey, where's the bag? It's behind you.
Dr. Edward Michael Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Tammy Phillips, magna cum laude. Dr. Gail Pleben Johnson.
You're married.
Dr. Laura Ann Roba Constantino, summa cum laude.
Okay.
Dr. Ira M. Rock, magna cum laude.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, Terry. Dr. Dr. Sharona A. Sachs, summa cum laude. Dr. Bruce Sor. Dr. Nicole Lisette Sasson. No. Dr. Paul Shields. Dr. Robert Allen Sicoli. Dr. Karen Song.
Steining.
Dr. Jeffrey P. Steining. Dr. Mark R. Sumner. Hang on. Dr. Kevin L. Tack. Dr. Daniel Scott Terryberry.
Hello. 4 years ago.
Yeah. Dr. Maria Theodoulou, magna cum laude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Evan or Evan? Evan, huh?
Dr. Mitchell Evan Tublin, summa cum laude.
How do you pronounce it? Tetsu.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Hilary Tetzo. Dr. Roy Matthew Vega.
Congratulations, Yvonne. Hold on. Where are we? Dr. Guillermo A. Alfredo Walters. It was, okay. Dr. Wayne Richard Was, cum laude. Aye. Okay. Is your father here? Sure. Good. Dr. Mark Lawrence Whiteman, magna cum laude. Dr. Janet Marie Williams. Dr. Lionel Alfonso. Janet Hay Winston, cum laude. Dr. Clifford McGregor Woodford, magna cum laude.
Now let's have a really warm cheer for all these new biomedical scientists and physicians. We're fortunate to have one of the most active, best organized, most dynamic medical alumni associations in the United States. This past year, we're even more fortunate to have a dynamic and very active president who probably gave more energy to the organization than any in the past several years. I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Franklin Zeppowitz, who will welcome you to the Medical Alumni Association, and then Dr. Jack Rickard will discuss the General Alumni Association.
Thank you, Dr. Naughton. It is indeed fitting at the conclusion of your commencement exercises that I have the privilege to welcome you into the Medical Alumni Association. As you know, we've been involved with you throughout the 4 years of your school. From the time that you first came here, we co-sponsored your orientation program. We co-sponsored the medical practice advisement sessions. We were sponsors of the MECO Summer Extern Fellowships. We were actively involved with your Polity Association in assisting you, sponsoring many activities and trips, and of course the senior reception last January, and then this afternoon sponsoring 2 awards at this afternoon's award ceremonies. We hope that you will look forward to hearing about your medical school and that you will have some nostalgia and look forward to receive the 5 editions each year of the Buffalo Physician, the medical journal, in which the alumni have a very prominent section. And we also hope you'll look forward to receiving your 4 newsletters from the alumni. And I'm going to bring up something which I know will seem like a millennium to you, but 5 years from today, 2 weeks ago to be exact, will be your first 5-year reunion. And we hope that you'll look forward to that, to come to Spring Clinical Day and Reunion Weekend. I can tell you the class of 1983 was overwhelmingly represented 2 weeks ago and had an excellent and enthusiastic weekend. It is indeed my honor as president of this vibrant association to have you join the 4,500 alumni of this medical school. I congratulate you in their behalf as you enter with us the field of medicine. Thank you.
I have two announcements for you. Dr. Scott Fleming, the new executive director of the General Alumni Association, asked us if we would make sure that you were fully apprised of the insurance policy that the alumni, the General Alumni Association is paying the premium for. For this year, it's a term insurance policy worth $10,000. If you choose to carry it on for another year, it is $15 a semester or $30 a year for $25,000. And we all feel that indeed this is a good deal. Dr. Jones, I believe, passed out materials to you. I would recommend that you look them over and make a decision. If you haven't the materials, I'm sure Dr. Jones can provide them for you. Number two, any of you that did not sign the match day certificate, it's in my office. What that is your name and where you will be doing your residency. The Alumni Association, the Medical Alumni Association, will then send one off to each of you, and all of you can then, it's a very handsome parchment that you can frame and put on your walls for eternity. Thank you very much. On behalf of the school, I thank all the parents and friends who have taken the time to come and spend this weekend with us and to participate in this very, very important event. I know that your sons and daughters appreciated it, your expression of love and devotion to them, but we, the faculty and administration of the university, appreciate it as well. So I thank you very much, and I congratulate you for what's happened. We'll now conclude with the benediction given by the Most Reverend Edward D. Head, followed by the recessional. We ask that all participants stay in the auditorium until the processional party has left. Thank you very much.
As this graduation exercise concludes, let us again pray in silence, each in her and his own way, that the dreams of these new doctors may become realities, and that our new doctors may always serve the community of humankind with dedication and commitment. God-loving Father, we know of your deep love for the sick and your great concern for those who suffer pain of mind or body. Give us the vision to see you in the eyes of the sick, to hear you in their cries for help, to serve them and to love them as we strive to serve and love you. We ask your blessing upon these new doctors, women and men who have dedicated themselves to helping and healing the sick. Give them a deep respect for the beauty and sacredness of all human life, from conception to natural death. Guide them in their labors and give them a greater share in your love. Reward their service with peace, satisfaction, and success. We praise and thank you, Father, for you live and reign forever and ever. Amen.
The commencement exercises of the School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences closed.
Thank you.
Those parts tomorrow.